Good morning, team. Thank you for jumping on another episode of my Monday Morning Pep Talk, episode number 277. And today I'm talking about asking, the right questions. And I'm sharing an epiphany that reshaped how I set intentions, not just quarterly, but daily and weekly too. Here's the truth. For the past decade, I've been disciplined about goal setting, but even with that discipline, it often took me too long to kind of find that clarity that I needed during my daily and weekly planning sessions. And I was asking good questions, but the right question, the right question was sitting right in front of me the entire time. And I just had not latched onto it. And in this episode, I'll walk you through the single question that changed everything for me and how I now use it to put more focus on my execution and and then I'll share a few bonus strategies to help you apply it across your business and your life. So, before I jump into today's call, I want to remind you of my professional purpose, and that is to help you, the full service, full fee advisor, optimize your productivity and help you become the best version of yourself. Why? Because happy advisors sell more real estate. And I do that by teaching you how to handle the challenges and opportunities that you face every single day. And I know that when you can effectively manage these situations that do arise on a daily basis in your business, you'll be more productive and you're going to live a life that is the best version of you. And as always, I ask you to visualize yourself sitting in my office across from me, and I'm speaking to you today one on one, whether it's here in my office or on a phone call. So let's get started. So there's this 3-year question, 3-year vision question, and if you've been through my Take Flight or you've been following these Monday Morning Pep Talks, you know I subscribe to a 3-year vision cycle powered by quarterly business planning, a framework that was inspired by books like Traction, written by Gino Wickman, and the 12-week year, written by Brian Moran. And to build that 3-year vision, I encouraged you to ask yourselves the Dan Sullivan question. Okay, Dan Sullivan is the founder of a company called Strategic Coach out of Canada. Um, and he has written, books that I know many of you have heard of, The Gap and the Gain, Who Not How, 10X is Easier Than 2X. These are solid books. But he has this question. It's called the Dan Sullivan question in these circles of high performance. And it goes like this. If you were having this discussion with me 3 years from today, and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? What a great question, right? Like, it gets the ball rolling. Like, by asking great questions, you can start to document what's important. And, it's simple, it's elegant, but when used with intention, it's a sledgehammer. It helps you cut through the noise and helps you cut through the noise fast. It forces clarity around how you want to live, who you want to become, and what type of business do you want to run. Okay. So during a recent coaching session, it hit me, why don't I ask myself a version of this question more often? Why not bring that same clarity to each day, each week, and each quarter? So here's how you apply it. You use this framework to create daily, weekly, and quarterly intention. Daily, when I look back on today at 6 p.m., what would have had to have happened? What would I have had to have accomplished, both personally and professionally, to feel like that I made meaningful progress today? weekly, when you're sitting down doing your weekly planning session, by this time next week, what would I need to have achieved personally and professionally to feel like I moved the needle? And then quarterly, at the end of insert the quarter, what would need to be true both personally and professionally for me to feel like I won the quarter? Okay, so in week 13, we sit down, right, of the previous quarter, and we plan, we celebrate, we we reflect. And during that week 13, you ask yourself that question at the end of next quarter: what would need to be true both personally and professionally to feel like I won the quarter? Love that. So this one question, asked through multiple time lenses, will create more clarity in less time than anything else I've used. Okay, so I want you to tuck that away. And I want to now give you a practical example. Okay, and has to do with reconnecting with your top 100. This is a script I think you can use throughout the year. Um, I know many of you are reconnecting or currently going through Take Flight here at Jameson Sotheby's International Realty, and others are involved in that as well. You're going through Take Flight and realizing that it's time to reconnect and rebuild your top 100. Naturally, the questions start rolling in. Where do I start? How do I reconnect without it feeling awkward and forced? I hear it all the time. I don't want to feel like a salesperson. I don't want to feel like a salesperson. That's the brain saying, don't pick up the phone. You don't want to be successful. I like you right here in the status quo. Okay? Don't do it. So here's the move. I want to use this framework I just shared. Okay, what do I have to do? How many people do I need to connect with today to feel like I made major progress? And really, and you use that for the quarters as well, and weeks. Um, you know, I think right now I'm finding, obviously, many of you are in harvest season, and it's hard to do big projects, but I would say that a reconnection process can be done um, at any quarter. But honestly, I find that Q3 and Q4 are really good quarters for reconnection. Um, Q1 and Q2 are typically harvest season, where your earlier efforts that you're going to do in Q3 and Q4 pay off. Um, if you have the time now, I highly recommend that you start with this reconnection process. It's impactful, but it does take time and it does take intention. So I would say commit to this as a quarterly project, then reverse engineer it into weekly and daily actions. Ask yourself the guiding question that we talked about earlier each step of the way so you can stay on track. And here's the reconnection, this conversation I want you to have. First and foremost, I want you to either leave a message or send a text to those in your top 100 that you have not reconnected with recently, and let them know that you have a quick market update for their home, and let them know it's something they probably want to hear. Okay, call me when you have a minute. Now, this script is going to be on the email that I send out here in a few minutes. Okay. This email that is going to be attached to this Monday Morning Pep Talk. Step two, when they call back, and I think I personally would, if somebody says, "Hey, I've got a market update that I think you'll find interesting," I'm going to probably call back. Um, And the message right now, we're 5 years, kind of post COVID. And, when they call back, just say this: it's been 5 years since COVID shifted our local housing market. And in the event you'd like to update your financial statement, I see your home worth today being somewhere, and then give them a range. Okay. And then to be more specific, take that range and find a number somewhere in the middle that you think is close, right? Um, then you want to just kind of pause and discuss that number. And then once that gets done, you say, while I've got you, how is your home performing for you? Let them talk. You're listening for life changes here. Okay. Now, why do I like the term, how is your house performing? Well, a lot of people look at their homes now differently. They look at them as financial assets. Okay. Assets perform or don't perform. And so when you say, how is your home performing for you? You're prompting them to say, without feeling like a salesperson, hey, it's going great. I love it. We love it. It's fantastic. Perfect size, great location. Or they might say, you know, we love it now, but next year, when the kids graduate, or they're heading off to um, grade school, or it might be that someone's retiring, or whatever the life changes might be. Listen for that. Maybe they need more space, whatever, or less space. And so you're listening for that, and you're when you wrap up the conversation, you want to wrap it up with confidence and let them know that you're here for anything that they need as it relates to their home. Okay. Now, the important part that we've been talking a lot about this year is take copious notes, log everything in your CRM, and schedule any necessary follow-ups or actions. Okay. Go in, schedule another reach out based on kind of how that conversation went. Put those notes in your CRM. Take copious notes. Now, imagine if you repeated this conversation across your top 100. What's the downside? What's the downside of doing that? Like literally nothing. What's the upside? I think there's major impact that is available to you. Okay. And what kind of momentum could you create? I think an enormous amount of momentum. So, my final thought this week is this Monday Morning Pep Talk started with a single question, a tool to create clarity and intention around your goals. And it ended with a tested strategy that can supercharge your business. So let me leave this with you. Okay. If I executed on this reconnection process, again, what's the downside? What's the what's the potential impact on my business? So we started with asking questions to ourselves, and we ended with asking questions of our clients. In my professional opinion, the answers you've been looking for are waiting on the other side of asking better questions, both to yourself and to those that you serve. Team, thank you so much for jumping on the call today. I appreciate it so much. And I'll be back next with you. I'll be back with you next week. And have a great rest of your week. Thank you.